Okay, picture this, a powerful, ancient kingdom. You've got a legendary king, a treasury that's just overflowing with gold, and one massive, kingdom-defining problem. How do you take all that incredible wealth and divide it up fairly among all your people? I mean, you've got to keep the peace, right? It sounds like something straight out of an epic myth, doesn't it? But believe it or not, there's a really cool secret hidden inside the story. So let's really get into it. The sheer scale here is just mind-boggling. We're not talking about a couple chests of treasure. We're talking about 1 billion coins. Go ahead, try to even picture that. It's a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And that's the pile of cash this king has to divvy up.
And that really is the $1 million, or I guess billion coin question. If you're the one in charge, how on earth do you make sure every single share is perfectly equal? Because if you mess this up, even by a little bit, you're looking at jealousy, riots, maybe even a civil war. The entire fate of your kingdom comes down to getting the math exactly right.
All right, so the story we're looking at here puts this whole challenge in the hands of the legendary King David. The mission? Take his 1 billion coins and split them perfectly among the 10 tribes of his kingdom. It's a classic problem, you know, a real test of leadership and, of course, logistics. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, this whole epic tale about kings and gold and kingdoms, it's not at all what it seems. There's something else going on here, a secret lesson hiding right in plain sight.
So, let's pull back the curtain, shall we? This grand, sweeping story is actually just a really clever disguise. It's kind of like a Trojan horse, designed to sneak in something a lot more practical and, for a lot of us, maybe just as scary.
And there it is. The whole thing, this entire epic saga, is a 6th grade math worksheet. Yep, King David's quest to divide 1 billion coins is actually just a really creative way to teach long division with huge 7 to 10 digit numbers. Pretty brilliant when you think about it, right? What a cool way to teach math. Okay, so how does this worksheet actually, work? Well, it's pretty smart. It starts you off with the easy stuff to build up your confidence, and then it slowly ramps up to the really tough problems. It's a very intentional, step-by-step approach. So, the first problem is super straightforward. The king's got 1 billion coins, and he's dividing them among 10 tribes. The answer is a nice round 100 million for each tribe. Easy peasy, right? A perfect place to start. And then, well, look at that. The worksheet gives you the exact same problem a second time. Now, that's not a typo. It's a classic teaching trick, right? Repetition, repetition, repetition. It's all about reinforcing the concept. And yep, you guessed it. Here it is one more time, just to really hammer it home. By this point, that basic idea should be totally locked in. Any student doing this is going to feel pretty good about themselves. Okay, once you've got that down, the training wheels come off. The lesson starts to throw some curveballs. The numbers aren't so nice and round anymore, and the divisors get a lot trickier. The easy part's over. Now the real math adventure begins. Let's take a quick look at the actual homework problems here. You can see how it ramps up. We go from that simple billion divided by 10 to dividing this messy 987 million number by 3, then another one by 9. It even throws in a problem that gives you a decimal answer, dividing by 100. So yeah, you can really see the difficulty curve spike up. So how do you actually solve one of these beasts? Well, let's take that second problem as an example. You remember this from school, right? You start all the way on the left, you divide the first digit, 9 by 3. That's easy, it's 3. Then you move to the next one, 8 divided by 3. That's 2, but with a remainder. And you take that remainder, carry it over, and just keep that process going all the way to the end. That's the core skill, good old long division, that this whole story is really about. Which brings us to the really big question here. Why? Why go to all this trouble? Why wrap a simple math lesson up in this big story about a king? Why not just, list the problems on a page? Well, there's a really powerful idea about teaching behind all this. The worksheet itself actually tells us why. It has this little section called the big idea, and the goal, it says, is to get us to imagine not just the math, but how people in the real world managed huge amounts of stuff, whether it was money or food or even building supplies for a city. It's all about giving these abstract numbers a real-world context. And that is the true power of framing something like this. When you tell a story, you're not just doing math anymore. You're connecting those abstract numbers to a real goal. All of a sudden, these huge, scary numbers don't feel so intimidating because they're part of a puzzle you need to solve.
It turns what could be a boring chore, I mean, come on, it's long division, into something that feels more like an adventure.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, the real lesson here isn't actually about long division, is it? It's about something much bigger. It's about the way we learn and the way we should teach. It's about the simple, incredible power of telling a good story.
At the end of the day, this simple math worksheet teaches us a huge lesson about communication. It doesn't matter if you're trying to explain how to divide 1 billion coins or how quantum physics works. If you can wrap that complex idea inside a simple, relatable story, well, that might just be the most powerful tool you have.
So, I want to leave you with this question. Think about your own life, your job, your hobbies, the stuff you're passionate about. What's that one complex, maybe even intimidating idea that you totally get, that you can make someone else understand, and maybe even get excited about just by telling them a simple story?